What does it mean for us as worship leaders to be authentic? Isn't just showing up and picking and leading songs enough? In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about authenticity and why I believe it's so important for worship leaders coming up. Hey there, my name is Glorio and this is your worship mentor. And on this channel, my goal is to help you grow into a stronger worship leader right where you are. Now, welcome back to those who have joined me on some of these videos before. But if this is your first time watching any of my videos, please consider subscribing. And if this provides any value for you at all, be sure to click the like button because it makes a difference. Now, lately, I've been talking about some of the characteristics that I believe are important to us as worship leaders to have, to work on, to practice. And I haven't defined these videos into a series just yet, but I've just been talking about them because they've been on my heart and they're something that I really think are important to talk about. So today, as I said in the intro, I want to talk about authenticity and why I believe that's so important to us worship people and what that means for us when we're leading our teams. So some of you may have seen this little clip that I posted on my Instagram at Your Worship Mentor. And if you didn't know, Your Worship Mentor, we are now on Instagram. And when I say we, I mean me because it's just me. And anyway, I posted this video because I was stuck on what to share about for this video today. I had a different topic in mind completely, and I was trying to kind of write the script and just get down my ideas, but it was so hard for me to just get my thoughts and my ideas into a cohesive format so I could talk and make it make sense. So I posted that video as an encouragement, but also as a way for me to be authentic in the process of what it looks like to create these videos. So first of all, what is authenticity that's so important for us as leaders? Now, I'm a huge Brené Brown fan, so when I want to define authenticity, I'm going to look at the way she has defined authenticity. If you don't know her, she is a researcher, so this is all backed by science. She's been studying this for years now. In defining authenticity for the purpose of this video, I wanted to look at Brené Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. I absolutely love this book. I think it's a must read for worship leaders, for anyone, for any leader, for any human. This is a phenomenal book in learning how to live more wholeheartedly. So in this book, Brené defines authenticity. And what she says is this: authenticity is letting go of who we think we're supposed to be in order to embrace who we really are. Now, I think that's huge. And when it comes to us as worship leaders, we often have an image of what we think a worship leader is supposed to be like, act like, lead like. And those ideas come from a lot of different places. They come from the leaders that we've seen in our own lives and just other things. And it forms this idea of what we think a leader is supposed to be like. But the reality is, you as a leader are what a leader is supposed to be like. So you, being an authentic leader, have a responsibility to step into who you already are and lead out of that place. Being an authentic worship leader means that you get to let go of that idea of perfection and that perception that you've had of certain leaders where you see someone on stage and you think, wow, they're amazing, their outfit is perfect. You have this idea that you need to be perfect, infallible, amazing person in order to lead. But the truth is, when you're being your most authentic self, yeah, you can look perfect sometimes, but you won't always. And it's important to embrace the moments where you are not actually always looking put together and perfect. Okay, so let me put this into a clear example. So a lot of times we see worship leaders on stage who are loud and expressive and passionate in their worship, and they have these huge voices, and it's really incredible to see. Now, seeing something like that, we can get the impression that that's what it looks like to be a worship leader. We create this box in our minds that says, this is what a worship leader looks like, and that's what I have to look like to express myself in worship. Now, when we think about authenticity, you have to think, who are you? Is being loud and expressive a part of your personality? Because if it is, and you're being true to yourself, that will come out when you are leading worship. But if it's not already a part of who you are, and you're pushing yourself into that box of what you think it looks like to be a worship leader, then you're not being authentic to who you really are. Now, I think there is a process in learning who you are. So I don't think there's anything wrong with imitating what you've seen in a way. But as you grow in this, you become more of who you actually are, and you express more of who you really are. Okay, so secondly, what does it look like to be authentic? I think sometimes, and Brene says this in her writing, that sometimes we think that you're either authentic or you're not. And it's actually not as binary and as you have it or you don't as that. Being authentic is a practice. A lot of these characteristics and these principles that I'm talking about and that I'm going to talk about in future videos are things that require practice. So being authentic means making choices in the day-to-day to choose to be authentic. So like in the last example with how you express yourself in worship, if you are more of a quiet, still, kind of peaceful personality, and that's the expression that comes out when you're worshiping, and that's not even on stage, just between you and God, if that's the expression that comes out of you, being authentic to that expression means choosing that expression when you're on stage. So being authentic means choosing in moment by moment, day by day, to be true to who you really are. Now, as worship leaders, we don't just choose authenticity in the songs that we sing and in the way we express ourselves in worship. We also are choosing authenticity in the way we're leading our teams. Now, this is another area where oftentimes you can see different leaders, you can see different leadership styles and think, and this again is just an example, but think you have to be this, untouchable, authoritative, like hard leader. And that's the only way that people are going to respect you. And that's the only way that you can express yourself as a leader. But that's also not true. When you lead out of a place of authenticity, sometimes that means being vulnerable enough to show that you actually don't have everything figured out. In the context of a worship team, sometimes that's saying, actually, I don't know the chords to this song, or I don't know how to figure out what this next arrangement can look like, and calling on someone else in your team who does have a better idea, who maybe does have more musical knowledge than you do, to be able to help you out and to be able to help you make that arrangement. So in a team setting, it's not that you're the leader and what you say goes, but authenticity in leadership can look like vulnerability, which can look like asking for help and bringing your team in. Sharing that clip on Instagram of me just kind of being unsure and I don't really know what I'm doing, just that for me was an authentic moment, because it's true. Because it's easy to display this facade of, I always know what I'm doing, I always know what I'm going to post, I've got it all figured out. But that's actually not true. And I think that showing that human side creates space for connection. And it can be the same on your worship teams. Showing your human side and showing that you don't have everything figured out creates space for connection between you and the people that you're leading. And when people are connected, there's more room for trust. And when people trust you, they'll follow your leadership. If this has provided any value for you so far, be sure to hit the like button, because it really does make a difference. Thank you guys so much. So now we know what authenticity is. We know what it can look like. Why do we need it? Now that we know what this is, why would we choose this? And I'll say this again. I think it's so important, and this is kind of a core value for me. It's so important for us to be true to who we really are. I firmly believe that God's created each one of us individually to be a reflection of Him in this world. We're created in God's image, right? So I believe that each person has a facet of God that they display to the world. And it's so important to do what we can to be true to that image of God that we carry in this world. When we truly show up as who we are, we can be truly seen, which creates connection for us to be loved for who we truly are. Now, all of this is so important because leadership is highly relational. Anybody who has this perception of a leader that's distant and, authoritative, that's not the kind of leader a lot of people want to follow. The kind of leader that people are willing to follow is the kind who is relational, the kind who connects, the kind who's human. Like, we are all human. And when someone actually displays their humanness and is honest about that part of themselves, people are so much more willing to follow that leader. Worship leadership is not just about your skill as a musician or a singer, but it's about how you are able to relate and connect to those that you're leading and those around you. Not just your team, but your congregation as well. The more you practice authenticity, the greater authentic connection you'll see and receive from those around you. So, question of the day: what does authenticity mean to you? How have you seen it in your team or in leadership that you've experienced? Let me know in the comments. I would love to chat with you guys down there as always. It's my favorite part of putting these videos out. So just drop a comment down there and let's have a conversation. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been fun as always. If this video provided you any value at all, be sure to hit the like button because it makes a huge difference. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace. In defining authenticity, I wanted to look to her book, so in defining authenticity.